Through the magic of time travel, a moment in time is occurring. Explorers from the 1200s to the 1900s are gathering to meet for the Explorers' Banquet. They are sailing on a ghostly ship, traveling through the mists of time.
All hands on deck! A storm is approaching! Put down the sails! Captain, a storm is approaching!
All hands on deck! A storm is coming!
Basically, we were really pursuing role and character. And the case study that they had done on their explorer became the character that they would explore. And we were trying to specifically define time and place. So the ship entry was a particular place. The time of sailing ships, we did not define it as any of the particular explorers coming in, but many of them did come on sailing ships. And the feelings and thoughts and ideas that they would have had enhanced through some technological strategies, such as using the risers for elevation and some lighting and some props. We also had some of our backdrops that are part of the drama department, used for some atmosphere as well. We also did some reflecting, responding, and analyzing, and making some connections personally to the themes, particularly when we tried asking them, how did you feel during the storm or after the storm, or how did you feel meeting this particular character? What connections could you make to that? So, which was the person here who needed to be rescued? Who fell off? Goslin, how did you feel as the person who had fallen off the ship?
I felt like I really had fallen off a ship.
So what emotions did you have?
I felt like my life was flashing before my eyes.
That's a very good reaction. Do you think things like that happened in the olden days?
Yeah, probably yes.
They probably did. Who pulled you on board? And finally, we also did some analysis of how did they do, some reflecting on personal growth and strengths and weaknesses and next steps. That happened in the final class.
The challenging part of today was to make our drama presentations look authentic, right? Like the real thing, and make it look like we're back in like the 1800s, like exactly like our explorers, right? But then after weeks of practicing, right, you get the hang of it, and then you can really act like the real explorer.
What I'll just say that is kind of hard is the dialogue when we had this talking with each other, because we had to be loud, we had to be facing the audience and also facing our partners. We had to be reacting to what each other is saying, so we had to listen very carefully.
My understanding of the creative process is that there is a cycle in which they need to face a challenge and be inspired, to be followed up with imagining and generating, planning and focusing, and eventually polishing what they've been doing through, exploring and experimenting. So we've talked a little bit about providing them with exemplars of what they could, what might inspire them. So we've looked at some of the text materials or visual, videographic materials. Another way is modeling yourself. The teacher is in fact a model. So I did a lot of impersonation. I became Auguste Piccard at times and talked about my submarine and what a wonderful opportunity it was to dive so low in the ocean. We listened to music in terms of, they listened to very different music. I played to them Renaissance music. I gave them background music. And from there, from the example, providing examples for them to model or emulate, then they have prior knowledge to draw on. They had their biographical research to explore, that they could imagine the personality that they wanted to create. They had seen some imaging and some videographic material. How did people walk? How did people talk? How did they communicate? What was the formality of the language of the day? What would be anachronistic? Yeah, hey man, this doesn't work so well in the 17th century. They needed to plan and focus their craft. They created organizers to start picking particular elements that they wanted to hone and refine. What would their character trait be as an explorer? Would they be bold? Would they daring? Would they be cowardly? How would Henry Hudson feel about being mutinied against? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, your next segment is on polishing your dialogue, your explorer dialogue pieces. So while you're doing this, what we really want to see is how you are developing further your understanding of how to use elevation to either increase tension, increase interest, increase the attention that the audience would give you, or diminish all of that. You also have some props that you've got together and some things that we've brought in from the drama department. So teamwork again on how that's all going to be used. You can use your backdrops. You've got to think about who is spelling each other off and holding things, how you're bringing your team together so that you are producing a more refined piece. Don't forget to talk to each other, give each other good feedback, good voices, sense of community. Are we ready? Let's go.
Greetings. I am Henry Hudson. And who are you guys? And who are you?
I am Captain James Cook, and may I ask who you are?
I am Sir Francis Drake, most known for my circumnavigation around the globe and my defeat of the Spanish Armada.
What was the best day of your expedition?
Well, the best day of my expedition had to be my first ever expedition.
I think the responsibility is really tied into the feedback and the observation and being more and more aware of yourself and your position in a group. So they are being asked to, as collaborators, create a product. And as soon as you put kids in a social situation, there's talk. And we need to focus them on the community spirit, the good talk, the positive feedback, so that it all takes place in an atmosphere of friendly exchange.
Wow, amazing.
When I give feedback, I consider that if I can help that student perform better, it's great for me and him or her, because I'm not selfish, right? I want to help my peers improve.
Well, you guys are really good in your voices. Your voices are very loud. And the thing you guys all have to work on is moving your hand gestures.
What you guys need to work on is like moving around and staying in higher levels and lower levels.
I also want to add to that the feedback you gave us will help us, and maybe the next time we try this, and it'll help us because it adds more dramatic effect to our play. So that will really help.
And so, you walk into a few situations when, if people don't quite agree, you've got to step back and say, how can we discuss this? How are we going to create consensus? Go back to our tribe statements: courtesy, consideration, commitment, 100% commitment. How will we take care of each other? How will we listen attentively to each other? And then, of course, if you have provided them with clear guidelines, what are the learning targets? What are your success criteria? And draw their attention to that is how the rubric will be, commonly and courteously create together. What do we want to accomplish? And then remind them, well, we have decided, this is our decision together. This is what we've decided to do. So we need to always go back to our purpose so we don't get distracted by something else and going in another direction. So that what we're doing is allowing our children to bring who they are, their personalities, their histories, their pasts, their futures, and their presents all together as part of their cultural experience and part of their artistic experience. So my classroom is designed to try and honor diversity.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, brother.
Je m'appelle. Bonjour, Samuel de Champlain, mes amis.
Is that supposed to mean that your name is Samuel de Champlain?
Oui, yes, my friend.
Well, my name is Ibn Battuta.
Oh, Mr. Ibn Battuta. What was it like traveling on the desert?
I, Ibn Battuta, have traveled both on ship and feet.
What a great gift of cultural sharing that's taken place with a view. And so that when Priand responded, he was already engaged. He had the experience of meeting another culture and talking very specifically about what richness that culture offers. Question to Mr. Champlain first. How did it feel to be an explorer from France, meeting somebody from so far away? How did you feel about that?
It was interesting. I needed to ask him like different questions about his religion. So that's what we did, and that's why he was talking about Hajj and different prayers.
Exactly. So you learned something. It was an informative experience. So the exchange of ideas can be very enriching. So it's not only a question of engagements, it's empathy. It's being able to relate to each other because you know the messages that are coming and you're interested in those messages. How did you feel about being Ibn Battuta and having the chance to speak about your most important experiences?
Well, I picked this explorer because I know my parents know lots of things about him, and since he has the same religion as me, right, I can share many of the things he has done in his lifetime.
So you have honored your tradition, and you've done so very well. We're very proud of you for doing that. Thank you for sharing with us. Excellent.
I felt really excited at first, so like I get to share my tradition and my culture with many of my peers, right? And then I felt really honored, okay, because I was sharing my feelings and what I do in Islam.
So it's one of the underpinnings that I think is really important to ensure that the children that come into your room are honored appropriately and feel that this is their place. It creates a comfort zone so that they can take risks and do things in their drama, in their role play, in whatever they are trying to do that makes their world come alive in conjunction with the world that you want them to explore.
I think drama is a good way to learn about a historical figure because after we did everything, it helps us learn about other characters, and it's interesting knowing about every single character in a drama skit because we can answer all the questions and it would be fun while doing it.
I would never espouse to assume that every child is totally engaged, but there are hooks that will bring them back because they see it's a lot of fun and they don't want to miss out on the fun. It's a good time. A good time was had by all.
The storm is heading our way. All hands on deck.
Lower the sails. Weigh anchor.
Weigh anchor! Weigh the anchor!
Take down the sails.
Take down the sails.
Steer the helm and take down the sails.
Captain, help! The wind is blowing me overboard! And overboard!
I see the fog. It's